So, ladies, we always often hear that do not be unequally yoked to unbelievers, right? So, we know this. If you're a Christian lady, you've heard it. And this is the reason why this verse, why this rule is so important, right? Or one of the reasons, anyways. I'm not going to say it's the main reason. So, I just feel called to speak about this, both for males and females. Yeah, take what you can from this, but these are some of the reasons that firstly we should not be unequally yoked to unbelievers. Secondly, we should ensure that sexual purity is something that we pursue before marriage, regardless of what has happened in the past, right? So yes, maybe you could have, um, dabbled in whatever that you're not supposed to dabble in. But once God calls you into his kingdom and you're convicted of the Holy Spirit that sexual sin is immoral, then you need to ensure that you work towards um, staying the right path, right? Staying in the right path and ensuring that there's sexual purity within your life, right? So the reason behind this, or one of the reason behind this, is that when you are now then in like a marriage covenant with your, hopefully your kingdom spouse, right, somebody that God has called you to be with, so that you can champion the Lord's work even further. You find out that there are going to be many challenges that the person might encounter physically, psychologically, biologically, all of those challenges that they might encounter. And if you yourself are not yet trained in the area of sexual purity, then it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to basically support your spouse through such seasons. So I'm just going to give you a practical example of that. So, for example, there's some women, once they are with child, for lack of a better word, once they are with child, they can no longer have intercourse, right? So imagine you are with a husband that didn't practice sexual purity during the time that they were single, right? So they are someone that believes that they need to always have intercourse regardless of the season. So what are they going to end up doing? They're going to end up committing adultery, right? Because they cannot wait 9 months, they cannot wait a year. There's some women even who even after giving birth don't feel like engaging in that act, right? So it could be that for a year or even 2 years, your spouse is unable to perform such an act for various reasons, right? Obviously, some of these things are things that need to be dealt with psychologically, spiritually, and mentally so as well. So these are things that maybe your partner would have to go to a psychologist for, so that they get help, or they go to a doctor so that they can just give them like a diagnosis of like what is the real problem that you can't really engage in this type of thing. But imagine that 2 years where your spouse is not in a place where they can engage in such an activity, and you are then thinking of, or you are actually engaging in extramarital activities. So yeah, this is the reason why it's so important, because yes, right now everybody believes that once they're in marriage they would always want to satisfy their spouse, but there are things that happen, and you find out that your spouse is unable to do that. Let's just say for women as well, let's bring it back home as well, to cater for the men as well. Let's just say for the men, if the man starts having the his a person is not working, who's the is not working, what's going to happen in that season where you've tried any and everything in the book, but it's not working? You get what I mean? Imagine as a spouse that you feel that if that thing is not there within your marriage, then you're kind of like, deuces, this is not gonna work out. And that can be the mentality that we share as children of God within the kingdom, because God says that he hates divorce more than anything else, right? So he has made the marriage covenant to be in such a way that is till death do us apart. So just like when we come into the kingdom, the hope is that we will always also be in the kingdom forever and ever. So does he want us to be in marriage as well, that whoever we go into marriage with, it is never that they are separated by anything or anyone. So yeah, sexual purity is of utmost importance before you get into marriage, because there are so many things that could happen in within the marriage covenant that could tempt a person who is not strong, right? Who doesn't have self-control as well. Self-control is another thing that you learn during your season of singleness, so that you can be able to withstand any storms, any temptations that the devil might throw your way. You will not be tempted. And also, let's just say you find a spouse who now for that particular season has to travel abroad or has to go elsewhere. What are you going to do? So we have to think about these things. We have to incorporate these things in our seasons of singleness, that we are strong spiritually, we are strong minded in the Lord, and we are strong willed in terms of the things of the Lord. So I just wanted to share this for someone out there, that take your sexual purity seriously, and it's not just for you in this season so that you don't commit sexual sin, but it's also going to benefit you within your marriage if you are someone that is able to withstand seasons and seasons of not engaging in any form of intercourse, right? And that can happen. That unfortunately can happen. So you need to be, anchored in the things of the Lord in order for you to be able to withstand such season, praying for your spouse, praying that for their well-being, trusting God that it will be a season where now you can engage in that the way He has meant it to be, right? But it's not like your spouse, if they can't do it, then you're now thinking like, oh, who can help me in this area, or now we need to get a divorce because my spouse can't do 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, which is not of utmost importance. So yeah, I wanted to share that with everyone, and I hope we just ensure that we prioritize sexual purity during our season of singleness.